Hello and welcome to this 5-day challenge all around taming anxiety. And day 1, we're going to start understanding anxiety. So during the course we're going to cover many different things, including psychological education. There's going to be some very practical strategies and tools to help you tame anxiety. There's going to be some guided visualizations, some tapping to help your nervous system calm down, lots of lovely goodies. And at the end, I'll be sharing some resources and a very special offer that I have for you. So if you've done the nervous system release, you'll be familiar with this slide and this smoke alarm. And hopefully you've all got these in your homes, because if there is a real fire, then you want that thing to be making as much noise as possible. But if one day all of a sudden this smoke alarm became hypersensitive and was going off every time you walked past it or lit a candle or put some bread in the toaster, it would actually be very disruptive. And so it's a great metaphor for anxiety. That smoke alarm is part of a tool. It's a tool which is useful when it is acting in the way that it's meant to be designed. And so anxiety is actually a normal part of being a human being, and we wouldn't want to get rid of anxiety from the system. It is part of our survival kit and we wouldn't survive properly without it. But too much anxiety, this is the problem, as it can be as disabling as a chronic physical illness. And so it's when the anxiety becomes too much that it becomes a problem and not actually part of the normal functioning of being a human. So some examples of anxiety: overwhelming, unrealistic fear and worry, panic attacks, phobias, obsessive compulsive behaviours, and post-traumatic stress reactions are all examples of this system being out of control. I've put an asterisk or star next to the phobias and the post-traumatic stress reactions because actually those two types of anxiety are usually best dealt with by a therapist, working with a therapist, because especially with the type of therapy that I do, which is called Human Givens, Givens, we have a lovely technique called the rewind technique, which without the person having to relive the situation that caused the phobia or the post-traumatic stress reaction, we can take the emotional hooks off the memory so they can release that from the nervous system. Okay, so there's 3 elements to anxiety. There's the psychological part. The physiological part. This is the physical sensations you experience during anxiety. So tension, inability to relax, disturbed sleep, the beating heart, any of those things, all part of the physical sensations. There's the emotional. So the emotions that you have while you're experiencing the physical symptoms. So the imagining, catastrophizing, causing emotions to come up, a sense of apprehension or dread, anticipatory fear. So this emotion of fear coming up ahead of time, perhaps even weeks before the mind is, you have to actually do the thing, or it might not even happen. The third element is the cognitive. So these are the thoughts that go through your mind at this time. So usually negative, limiting thoughts, and I'll explain why in a moment, which leads to poor concentration as well, because we haven't got access to the full range of our cognitive abilities. Oops. So stress. Again, I said at the beginning, it's our survival system. And this stress response has to really be disruptive because it's meant to get us to do something to survive a life or death situation. And so the stress response, there's a number of things. There's the fight. So this is the anger. Let's go towards this danger, because this was set up when, you know, we were in caves and there were predators or other, you know, people coming to raid our caves. And so this is real life or death stuff. Flight, which is anxiety, which is what we're focusing on today. This is the runaway, this is the getaway before we get attacked. Freeze, where we hide, we collapse, we go into freeze mode because predators need a moving target. And fawn, if we feel like we can't get away, we try and get on the side of the danger to people please. Okay, so what happens in an anxiety response? And I'm not going to go into the whole of this because I go over this a lot in a free resource I'm going to offer you, my Tame Your Brain Planner, and also in an online course that I have. But basically, if I just show you this walnutty type of brain, this is relatively new in terms of evolutionary processes. This is the neocortex, or the new layer. And at the front here, the prefrontal cortex, this is our emotional handbrake. This is all of this is the part of the brain that all our common sense is in, our ability to rationally think and to decide and to choose. And it goes over the top of a much more ancient brain, the mammalian brain. And this is the emotional brain. This is, you might want to call the lower part of the brain, the survival brain. And in the brain, you can see this little green section here. This is the amygdala. So that's Greek for the word almond, because it's a bit of an almond shape, and you have one at each side, so there's a matching pair. And the job of this amygdala is to check for danger, any sense of danger, and it's there to, you know, keep us alive. And so it will remember patterns from the past where we might have had danger, and it will be always projecting this, checking. And if it senses any type of danger, either through our senses or, interestingly, this is something I really go into in the course and in the planner, is that this little guy didn't get the memo when this new bit was added. And this new bit is where we think. It's the gift of our imagination. And so we can imagine ourselves in any sort of circumstance, good and bad. So the imagination, we sometimes say, is a gift and a curse. And so this little guy sees in our imagination some catastrophe that we're thinking about, and will set off a stress response. And as I said, I'm not going to go too much into it, but part of the process of this stress response, as well as all of the symptoms that you'll be well aware of, because the body is trying to get you into prime action, physiological action to run or fight, so the beating heart and all of this. But one of the things the stress hormones also come up to do is come and take this brain offline. So this is called an amygdala hijack, or an emotional hijack. So all of a sudden, your rational, logical human brain, your empathy, your understanding is gone. And we're in a very primal reaction. So the guy that trained me as a psychotherapist always says, high emotions make us stupid. So suddenly our ears fall off, we can't listen to reason, and we go into a type of trance state. We go into tunnel vision, because all this security guard wants to focus on is the danger and how to escape it. Okay. So one of the consequences of this emotional hijack is we don't have access to our normal rational, logical brain. So we go into something called black and white thinking, okay, which is on the basis of limited evidence, taking a viewpoint that excludes wider possibilities or greater options. So all of a sudden we go from this, zoomed out, being able to see different options, to whoop, this or that, okay? In the stress response, the lower brain makes it impossible for analytical thinking, as it wants to know, do I fight or flee? This lower brain is the brain that will have you running out of the way if there's a vehicle coming towards you. It doesn't care if it makes a fool of you because it wants to keep you alive. And so in order for that process to happen, an analytical thinking style has to switch off because it wants to know, fight, flee. It wants really quick reactions. And so, let me just make myself smaller. There we go. So types of black and white thinking, there's a variety, and you might realise that you have, a few of them. That's fine, most people do. The first one is all-encompassing. So making a broad assumption based on one possibly trivial fact. So such as, if something can go wrong, it will. So we make this big all-encompassing assumption. Self-focusing, believing that there must be a personal significance behind what are actually random facts. You might hear yourself say, oh, I must have done something bad to deserve this, or why does this always happen to me? Jumping to conclusions, so reaching a judgment on the basis of one fact or event. For example, my partner's late home, they're having an affair. Not questions, just that's what's happening. Okay. Blaming, the tendency to look for someone or something specific to blame when things go wrong. Very often ourselves as well, not just others. It's all my fault they're upset. Okay. Exaggerating feelings. This is really common with anxiety, and I get why, Sensations and emotions are misconstrued as much more negatively meaningful than they really are. So when anxiety makes our heart thump a bit, which is normal, the black and white thinking would be, I'm having a heart attack. It would come straight in with this very black and white thought. So taking a position, not seeing that someone might have a different but equally valid viewpoint, or there's a middle way. You're either a winner or a loser. This type of thinking style makes us right and them wrong, or makes ourselves wrong sometimes, but it's very biased, it's very binary. Catastrophizing, again, huge with anxiety. Assuming the outcome of an event is going to be personally disastrous. If I mess this up, I'll never get another chance, So everything's pinned to this. Having to be perfect. So imposing impossible or restricting demands on yourself. Lots of positive feedback, say, that you get at work. And then one area for improvement. And what do you focus on? If you've got this type of black and white thinking, you only focus on the latter, that one area for improvement, and you totally discount all of the positivity. Another way it comes out is you can't be seen out and not looking your best. It all has to be perfect. Putting yourself down. Someone says, oh, I like your dress. Oh, this old thing, I got it from a charity shop. Or, oh, there's a hole, I've got a hole in it here. Or I only won because no one really good entered. Or anything I do is likely to turn out bad. But there's 3 particular types of limited thinking that are especially connected with the development of anxiety. So how personally we take events. Are we always making it about ourselves, or are we able to zoom out and see a wider picture? How pervasive you think the effects will be. So it's not just going to affect this area of your life, this is going to affect every area of your life, so it becomes pervasive. And the real kicker is how permanent you think the effects will be, because this permanency really frightens the nervous system and keeps us stuck in a very low place, anxious place. So, your homework, let me lower that, is, you say it's a good job I haven't got that perfectionist streak, isn't it? This video would have to be stopped. And here's another, I've just noticed a spelling mistake there, but luckily I'm not in black and white thinking today. Other times I am, and so I can continue with the homework and style it out, pretending that was meant to happen, a perfect display of perfectionism. So I'd like you to take some time to consider if there are any of the black and white limiting thinking styles you habitually use. It's really useful to, with self-compassion, with no judgment. This is really just an exploratory, let's get to know ourselves a little bit better. Just notice these thinking styles. They could be so habitual that you're so blind to them that you just think that's how it is. But there are, as we go through the week, we'll look at ways of seeing how we don't have to be stuck in these types of thinking styles. Okay, so some resources for you. If you're not already in the Facebook group, you can go to a Free Mind community on Facebook and you'll find the rest of this challenge. There's also a really good nervous system reset challenge in there, along with other resources. If you're not on Facebook, then you can go to YouTube and find me, Nicola Drew, a Free Mind, and you'll find the challenges on there as well as some energy transmissions and some guided visualizations. I've got a free planner. If you haven't already got it, I'll put the link below this video somewhere, and you can get this free PDF planner. If you've got a Kindle app, a free Kindle app, you can just send it to your Kindle app and read it like an ebook. It is 66 pages. So if you prefer to have a paperback copy rather than doing it as an ebook that you can actually write in, then you can go to Amazon. I think it's $9.99 on there at the moment. And finally, before we finish, I've got an online course that really goes into depth into how to give you much more of a peaceful life, how to understand what's going on. So we look at the stress response, we look at how we use our imagination, we look at that voice in the head, you know, that one that is always making you anxious. We do guided visualizations together. There's lots and lots and lots of resources in there that are really going to take back some control, help you understand yourself, help you understand why you do the things that you do, and really usefully at the end, and we'll go into a bit of this week, so you will still get the content, but in depth in this, I'll go through all of the strategies to help you, calm down, to help you build a life that leads to a much more peaceful way of being, a happier way of being. And the good news is, for this week, it's Mental Health Week here as I record this in the UK. And so, there's hundreds of pounds worth of value in this course. There's a potential for real transformation, and which is why I priced it fairly low to begin with at $147. But because it's Mental Health Week, and because this is so needed, I've taken £100 off this week, so it's down to just £47. I'm always reluctant to make a course very cheap because there is something about that people think it's not valuable, or they don't commit themselves to do the work because they haven't paid as much. But for this week, I'm going to see how it goes. And this is online, this is self-study. You pace it yourself. There's lifetime access, so you can go back and back to it. And I think there's a free bonus on there at the minute where you get another mini course. So it's £47. When you get to the checkout, in the area where it says coupon code, you have to put capital M for mother, capital H for hotel, capital W, and 100. So that's Mental Health Week 100, and that will give you £100 off for this week only until the 22nd of May. Okay, so I hope you found that useful, and I will see you tomorrow. I'll put the link for this under the video somewhere as well. Thank you.